Okay. Okay. So today we are going to look at a new topic. Okay. So this is how to define your own data types. Okay. So till now you have seen a lot of data types: int, double, char, bool. Okay. What others? Can you name some other data types you have seen? Anyone?
Sir, list of int.
Is not a data type. No, list of int is a data type. Okay, list is something that takes one data type and produces another data type. We'll see that. Okay, so list of int, list of char, list of bool, etc. Pair of int comma int, pairs, pairs bool comma bool, pairs int comma bool. There are lots of these things that you have seen. So Haskell already has many data types that are built in. It also has ways of putting together data types to form new data types. Okay, now as a user you might want to have more flexibility to do even more. Okay, and for that you use the data keyword. Okay, to define your own data types. Here is an example: data bool equals false true. Actually, if you see in the Haskell source files, bool itself is defined as follows. Okay, so it's all a general mechanism to generate new data types. Okay, so bool has two values, false or true. Can you name some data type with one value? You've just been talking about it.
Unit.
Unit, yes. Okay, so unit has exactly one value. Bool has exactly two values. What more we can try here? I think it is called void, or no, sorry. It is called something. It's called void. See, there is void. Okay, and data void. What do you think? What do you think the number of values that void has? No, that I have been. Yes. So this thing that I have just now defined, I said data void and I didn't do anything at all. I didn't say equal to something. How many values do you think it has?
0.
So no value.
Yes. So void is a data type with 0 values. It's just like sets, you can have sets with one element, sets with two elements, sets with many elements, sets with 0 elements also. That is the empty set. This is the empty type. Okay. I don't know what Haskell itself calls this, empty or some such, I assume. I'll check and tell you. Okay. But you can always define your own data types with just 0 elements. You have a data type with one element, namely unit. You have a data type with two elements, namely bool. You can define your own data types with two elements. Okay. So you can say data weekend equals Saturday or Sunday. Yes. So so basically that pipe symbol that you see, the vertical bar, that means or. Okay. So like in Haskell, if you say two vertical bars, it is logical or, right? This is, so you use single vertical bar to mean or, and you're saying that a weekend is either a Saturday or a Sunday. Is it clear? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This is the kind of thing that you can do. In fact, why weekend alone? You can say day. Day is either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday. Okay. So this is how you define. This is one of the most basic kinds of new data types that you can define yourself. These are called enumerated data types. Why are they called enumerated data types? You are enumerating the set of values that belongs to that type. Okay. And in a language like Java, C, or whatever, you use enum. ENUM means enumerate, and then you can give some values. In Haskell, you will see that it's part of a general pattern. So user-defined data types are very important. This is one of the most basic things that you can do. Okay. So you're saying day can have one of the 7 values. If you did not have a mechanism to do this, what would you do? If you wanted a program to return a day, then you will have to let it return a number or integer or something. And then if it is 0, then map it to Sunday. If it is 1, map it to Monday, etc., etc. But then you don't have a mechanism to check that the return value is only between 0 and 7. 0 and 6. Okay. Okay. So this is about. Okay. You can also have data types of parameters. This is the next level. Okay. So your data bool, data day, etc. can only have finitely many values. The number of values that you are actually enumerating here. Okay. But your these data types of parameters, you can have more and more values. For instance, shape. A shape is either a circle or a square or a rectangle. I mean, this is the shapes that you are interested in. I'm not going to include triangle, rhombus, parallelogram, etc., etc. Okay. So you are interested in 3 kinds of shapes. So circle, square, or rectangle. But in case it's a circle, that is not all the information that you have about it, right? So a circle will have a radius. So the radius is a double. Okay. So you say circle with radius r. Okay. That will be circle r. Okay. And it takes a parameter which is of type double. Okay. Square takes a parameter which is of side, which is of type double, and the parameter is the length of the side. Rectangle takes 2 parameters which are both of type double, and the parameters are the length and width. Okay. So here is, for instance, a list of shapes. The first element of the list is circle with radius 3.0. Second element is square with radius with length of side 4. Third element is rectangle with length whatever width 3 and length 4. Okay. Okay, fine, good. So we have all this. So we can actually install all these definitions here, except for bool, because bool is already defined. So let me define day equals etc. etc. Data day equals Sunday or Monday. Thursday or Friday or Saturday. Yeah. Data shape equals either a circle with radius whose type is double, or a square with length of the side which is double, or a rectangle with 2 parameters which are double. Okay, great. Okay. Let me save this. Let me reload this. And now I can ask type of Sunday. Oh, it says no modules loaded. Okay, I can ask for type of Sunday. Yes, type of Wednesday. Type of circle 3.0. Can I do just type of circle alone? Can I do it? And if I do it, what do you think it will be the type? What type do you think will be returned? Any guesses? Circle applied to 3.0 is of type shape. So what is the type of circle itself?
I guess it's a function from double to shape.
Good. So these things here, okay. So just this thing, these things are called value constructors. Okay. Meaning they construct new values if you give them a value. So if you give a double number to the circle function, it will construct a shape. Okay. It will just say circle 3.0 and that's a shape. Okay. So it constructs values of certain types. Now, why is Sunday a value constructor? Because Sunday will give you a value. It is just that it doesn't take any argument. Okay. So it's a trivial value constructor. Okay. It's a, if you want to think about it, you think about it as a nullary function. Nullary means a function that takes no arguments at all. Okay. Or, but to be some but it's awkward when you in normal, when you try to explain things, to keep referring to Sunday, Monday, etc. as value constructors. So or value constructors with 0 arguments, we simply call them values. Okay, great. So this is fine. And as you see, circle, square, etc. is nothing but functions. Okay, great. You do this. So you can ask for the type. What do you think will happen if I do circle 3.0? I just type circle 3.0. I asked for the type.
Can't show it. It can't show it, it will say.
Right, it will give you an error because it will say, oh, I cannot show the shape. Okay, because remember that for something to be printed on the screen, it has to belong to the type show. It has to belong to the type class show. The type class show consists of all showable objects. Showable values are those, showable types are those where there is a function called show, small show, which will convert any value of the type to a string. Okay, because ultimately you can only print strings on the screen. Okay, so there is no show function, small show show function, and that is required if you want to do print. So it is saying, oh no, there is no instance for show shape. We'll fix that in a minute. Okay, but let me move on, explain other things, and then okay. But even without show, etc., you can actually write functions. You can say things like, you know, here I have a function. I'm asking weekend. It's a function from day to bool. Okay, weekend of Saturday equals true. Weekend of Sunday equals true. Weekend of anything else is false. Similarly, area, shape to double. Area of circle R equals pi star R star R. Area of square side is a squared. Area of rectangle with length and width. Okay, I need to know what the pi is. Oh, why does it not complain for pi? I think because pi is built in. Okay, so it doesn't complain really. So you can ask what the value of pi is. Okay, it's a built-in constant. It's defined in your basic this thing itself. You don't need to define it. So that's it. Okay, so now you have an area function and you have a weekend function. So now I can ask if I reload the thing.
Sir?
Yes?
So I have two questions. One is the data bool is false or true, right?
Yeah, right.
So false or true are also, I mean, they're also functions with no argument.
Yes, functions with no arguments. Yes. Any value is a function with no argument. You can think of it that way.
So
They are kind of a degenerate function, which if you want to think about it that way. Yes.
Yeah, and another thing is I didn't understand fully why circle is double to shape. I mean, and it takes double, but why does it go to shape?
That is because square 3 is a shape, right? Circle 3 is a shape. 3 is a double. Circle 3 is a shape. Therefore, it's a function that takes a double as argument and produces a shape.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
And it is just form. Because you're saying any shape is either a circle of some radius or a square of some side length or a rectangle of some length and width, right? So circle is being applied on a number, and circle, that number is a shape. So you can think of it as double arrow shape.
Okay.
Yeah, is it clear?
Yeah.
Right. It is just like your maybe, maybe you all recall maybe, right? Actually, you can write a maybe this thing now. Maybe is nothing. This thing you can write my maybe because maybe is built in. My maybe is what can you say is my maybe. But that's a little more tricky. You have to say my maybe A equals just my just. You should say my nothing or my just. We'll come to that later. Yeah. So these are type constructors. You are defining a new type here. This is a new type constructor because it will take a type and then produce another type. Okay, but just concentrate on just here, or let's just forget this. So I'm saying, so if you try forget this, you know that what is the type of nothing? Maybe A, but what is the type of just?
So isn't that also?
I think A2 maybe A.
Yeah, it is A to maybe A. Why? Because just applied on a value of type A will give you a value of type maybe A, right? So just 3 is some any numeric type A to or just true, let's say. Just true is a type of just. Type of just true is maybe bool. So just itself is of type bool arrow maybe bool. But it's also of type char arrow maybe char. It's also of type int arrow maybe int, etc. etc. It's of type A arrow maybe A. Similarly, circle is of type double arrow shape in this case. Is it clear, Srimati?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, if you say it's clear, I'll move on. Okay, so now you can do all this. I can now apply the weekend, etc. functions. Let me reload just in case. Weekend applied on Saturday is true. Weekend applied on Friday is false. Okay, great. You're able to see the screen clearly and all. No, the white color is fine, right? I hope it's better than the darker background colors. So if you have a problem, tell me. I'll try to see.
This is better.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So
Okay.
can I ask something?
Yes.
So in this shape, if instead of circle double, we had something like circle A, then it would take any argument.
Yes, then it will take any argument. Though it will not make much sense to have a shape to have a circle that takes any argument.
Yes, sir, but okay. So
Yeah, but you can. That is what happens in that maybe, you know. We'll come to that in a bit. Okay. Wait, we'll get there. We'll get there soon. Don't worry. So now I can also apply the area function. 1 second. Area of circle 3 is this area of I don't know, square 5 something, area of rectangle 3, 4 something. Okay, so you have all this. Yes, somebody had a question.
Yes, sir. Is there a way to include like a new data type that we defined by ourselves into the showed like type class?
Yes, I'm going to come to that in a minute. I'll do it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so you can do all this area, etc. So one thing, so this weekend we defined by pattern matching. Okay, weekend, if the input is Saturday, then it's true. Then if it's Sunday, then it's true. Otherwise, it's false. We could also have defined in some other manner. No, how do you define it? Using if then else, or using guards. So I'll call that weekend 2. Let me do it using guards. Okay, weekend 2 of D. D is a day for me. I'll say if D equals Sunday or D equals Saturday, then it's true. Otherwise, it's false. You will already see that VS Code itself is giving.
This EQ should be there, right?
So who's saying this?
Sir, I'm Nilabjo.
How did you figure that out?
Sir, I mean this equality will only hold if it belongs to the equivalent.
Right.
I mean, it can
so
be
VS Code
compared.
also complains the same thing. Okay. No instance for EQ day. So it does not only show that it's a problem, but it is also other stuff. EQ, for instance. Okay. You cannot compare equality between two functions clearly. Similarly, I mean, yeah. So it you can only do equality checks on types that belong to the EQ type class. And now our day does not belong to the EQ type class. Okay, so you need to make it belong to the EQ type class. So how do you do that? Is the question. Okay, so EQ is missing, show is also missing, and the simplest way to do that is to say deriving EQ show, maybe even order. Okay, if you want, because you know Sunday comes before Monday, Monday comes before Tuesday, etc., etc. So you can do all that, and now this error has disappeared here. You see, there are 0 errors. Yes. So who asked this question? How to make our own data? These things belong to this thing. You will do it using the deriving keyword. Okay. But now you should ask me the question. Okay, I'm saying deriving, etc. But what is the show method? Just because I say deriving, do I have any control on the show method? Right now, it will be a default show method. Okay, but you can control the show method. We'll come to that later. Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I mean, when we derive it for odd, don't we have to define some order? I mean, how does it?
The ordering is the order in which the constructors are defined. In it's the order in which the constructors are listed here. Sorry.
That is by default.
Yeah. So if you want a different order, you change the order of the constructors you listed in. Okay. Here I am doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. So here Sunday is. So you might want to start your week with Monday. So you do it that way then.
Sir.
Yes.
If we do not use show, we cannot return it as a return value. I mean, to print it.
Yes, yes. If you do not do deriving show, when you say deriving show, it automatically defines a show method, small SHO.
So true and false will be show, right?
Yeah, they are also part of show. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they are automatically part of show. So if you see this, so if you say info bool, somewhere you will see instance show bool. Okay. So it is making bool an instance of show. So we'll later see how to do instance show day, etc. But it's much easier to just say deriving EQ show R. Okay, because you don't even need to define the small SHO show function, or you don't even need to explicitly define the equality. Automatically, it is defined by the system by certain rules. Okay. Okay. Now you can actually do, and now you can say Sunday. It will print out. Yes, now it's just printing it out. Okay, you can also say circle. Yes, see the point? And now you can also do weekend, because now equality is there. You can ask Sunday equals Monday. It will say false. Sunday not equal to Saturday. It will say true. Okay. Yes, yes.
So in the first definition of weekend, I mean, if there wasn't an EQ previously, then how did it compare?
Because pattern matching doesn't require equality. Pattern matching works differently. Pattern matching is not based on checking for equality or whatever. You need to know a little bit about the Haskell internals to figure it out. But pattern matching is more basic than equality testing. Just leave it at that for now.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yes, yes.
So it's like if we say deriving let's say a num, so we have to also define addition and stuff. And
no, if you say deriving num, it will automatically define addition, etc. But if you want to make it an instance of num, you have to define your own addition, etc.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So deriving will make it an instance of show, EQ, or num, whatever it is, with some default implementation. If you want to change it, you have to say instance num your type, and then where you write a where, and then you write all the definitions of the addition, subtraction that you yourself want. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Okay. So let us move on. So now I have defined this EQ, etc. I have defined the show also I have done. Okay. Yes. So you use deriving. This also I have shown. Okay. So you say deriving EQ show, or maybe even if you want a show, the default show will just provide a default text representation that can be printed on screen. For instance, show Wednesday will just print Wednesday. because it just prints out the name of the constructor as it is. Sometimes you might want to do better, and we'll see examples of that later. Okay, but for most of your examples, you can just make do with just deriving. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I can ask for Sunday less than Saturday. I'll ask. It will say false now, but earlier it wouldn't have. It would have given a type error because ORD is not defined. Okay. You can answer max of Sunday, Saturday. You can ask Sunday. Okay. Just because you made it ORD, a bunch of functions are automatically defined for you. Okay. So yes. So you can do right. So now let's come to the equality of shapes. Okay. Do you think circle 3 equals circle 4?
No, false.
Why?
Because circle 4 area is greater.
Yeah, because the arguments differ. Does Bijayan is asking, does what increase space size while executing the program? Bijayan Ray, what specifically are you concerned about? You can't hear me, I suppose. Okay, so let's get back to Bijayan later. Let's back to our this thing. So circle 3 is not equal to circle 4 because the arguments differ. Okay, 3 is not equal to 4. So even though the constructors are the same, the values differ. What about circle 3 compared to square 3? The arguments are the same, right? But one is a circle and the other is a square. So therefore they are different. So what can you say about if I have a constructor? There are 3 constructors here for shape, right? And I have done an EQ. So what can you say? You can say that if C1 and C2 are constructors of the shape type, okay, then C1 some args1, let us say, equals C2 args2 if and only if the list of arguments, okay, so is this clear? Okay, so this is the point. Okay, so therefore circle 3 is not equal to square 3, circle 3 is not equal to square 4, etc., etc. So clearly circle 3 is not equal to rectangle 3, 4 because I mean constructors differ, number of arguments differ, etc., etc. Okay, great. Now the point is that once you define these equalities, then you can the moment you define equality for a type A, then you have equality for pairs involving that type, lists involving that type, etc. So circle 3, circle 4, the list consisting of circle 3, circle 4 is equal to the list consisting of circle 3, circle 4. Okay, but not the list consisting of square 3 circle. Right? These notions lift to lists of shapes, etc., etc. Okay, great. We are making progress. Yes, and this is something that I explained already. The circle, square, Sunday, Monday, etc. are all constructors, or to be more specific, value constructors. They construct a value from other values. They are just functions, but start with an uppercase letter. That is the only difference. So Sunday is a function with 0 arguments. It's of type day. Rectangle is a function with 2 arguments. It's of type double arrow shape. Circle is of type double arrow shape, etc., etc. Just give me a minute, okay? Okay, and you can use them just like any other function. Okay, so you can circle is a function from double to shape. Therefore, map circle is a function from list double to list shape. Okay, so you can actually do things like map. If you want to build a bunch of circles, you can map circle on 1.10. Let us say. See, it has produced 10 circles, 10 shapes actually. Yeah, so type of it, if you ask, it's a list of shapes. Okay, great. Any questions regarding this?
So doesn't Haskell consider the list to be an int list?
Once more.
So the list from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Isn't that an integer list? I mean, 3 can be converted.
No. List from 1 to 10 is a numeric, is a list of type A where A is any numeric type.
Okay.
See? Numeric type and enumerable type. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yes, okay.
Strictly speaking, double is not enumerable, but I suppose it converts from integer to double because it's a numeric type, so it's automatically doing that. Okay, so oh my God, sorry. I'm having a severe case of hiccups. Just 2 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so till now we have seen examples where your type is always, there is always an option. It's either Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. It's either a circle or a square or a rectangle, etc. But sometimes you are putting together certain things not because there is a choice in what a shape can be, but instead of using a tuple, you will be using a data type. Okay, really that is it. Okay, so those are called records actually. Okay, so data types with a single constructor. Okay, data type with a single constructor, you could also have modeled them as tuples. Okay, this is nothing but a quadruple, 4 tuples, string comma int comma double comma string. Okay, but if you just say string comma int comma double comma string, nobody knows. Somebody who is reading your program, or you yourself who is reading your program a week from now, might not realize what this 4 tuple really means. Okay. Whereas if you call it person, then you will know, oh, okay, this is details regarding a person. Okay. And even this is a little too obscure, because what do I mean by string int double string? There are ways in which you can make it better, but at least by making it a data type, you are you will understand your program when you read it later. And also, you will say, okay, so this is a new type. Okay, it will not match. It will not match a 4 tuple. Okay, person is its own type. Okay, this is a thing with a single constructor. These are in other languages. These are called records. Okay, or struct. Okay, so strictly speaking, in other languages you have enum, which is for enumerated data types, struct, which is for this, and union, which is handling the either circle or square or shape thing. In Haskell, all these things follow the same pattern, and these are called algebraic data types. Okay, why algebraic data types? Because it is like the sum of product. Okay, so within each thing you can rectangle double means you are bringing together 2 rectangles, or it is square double, it's 1 double, or it's circle double, which is 1 double. Okay, so you bring together tuples, and then you have choice among the different tuples that you have. So it's like sum of product, and that's called algebraic data types. Okay, so these are called algebraic data types.
So could you just repeat this?
Yeah, these are called algebraic data types. Okay, and in other languages, they are achieved by each of these patterns is achieved by different I don't know, keywords, notions. Okay, the day is achieved by is an enum. Okay, something like if you just take rectangle alone, you can think of rectangle alone as a type, which is bringing together 2. So I could have defined data rectangle equals rectangle double. Okay, if it's a data type with only one value constructor having multiple arguments, it is a record or struct. If it's a data type with lots of constructors with arguments, it's a union. Okay, so Haskell brings together all these things and calls them algebraic data types. Why algebraic? I don't know. You can debate the choice, but it's like some algebraic expression. Okay, in particular, it's like some arithmetic expression. So maybe you can call it arithmetic data type. Okay, so what I meant was that algebraic data types are like sums of products. Each value constructor is like a tuple of the arguments. Really, instead of saying rectangle double, I need to put a tag called rectangle. Instead of that, I could just have had a pair double, right? And done all the function that I wanted to without the tag, etc. Okay, it's like a tuple of the arguments with the tag. Okay, that is the product. That is the product part. And the whole data type is and any value of the whole data type, any value of the data type is built using one of the constructors. That is the or some part. Okay, that's basically it. So these are like sums, or think of ors of ands if you want to think about it. Okay, so you and put together this and this and this and this makes up a rectangle, and shape is either this or that or that. Okay, or sum of this thing sum of products. It's just a mathematical structure for these things. But yes, I hope you don't need to know, you don't need to use this when you write programs, but this is just for your conceptual understanding. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so records, you will have a single constructor. And whenever you have a single constructor, then you have a thing, the type name and the constructor name are the same. Okay, so I mean, it is not a mandate, it's not mandatory, it is convention. Okay, typically when you have a data type with a single constructor, you always keep the type name and the constructor name the same. Okay, not that Haskell enforces this, but it's convention. Okay, so here somebody is named Ashwini, and this is her name, that is the first int. Then that's the first string. Int is the age, let's say, double is the height. I don't know if 5.9 is considered tall or short or whatever. And strong is not strong. String, that is the email ID. Okay, you can have things like this, right? And so now, yes. So how do you extract the type, the height of this person now? You have to write a function. Okay, so you have to write, so you need what are called destructors. This is a constructor. It takes together 3-4 different values and brings them together to build a type. If you want each individual components, you need the opposite of a constructor, which is called a destructor. And here are the 4 destructors. Okay, so let me define this new type. Data person equals person. Now, you want to ask what the type of person is. Yeah, it's string arrow, int arrow, double arrow, string arrow, person. Now you need functions in the opposite directions. Okay, so name, age, height, email. So name of person n, and you don't care about the rest, equals n. Age of person, anything a, anything equals a. You can always do pattern match. Okay, height of person, anything h, anything equals h. Email of person, anything. Okay, great. So you have this. Now you can ask for the type of name. See, person arrow string. You define it, and you can say let equals okay, now you can ask name. Yes, height. Oh, Oh, 5 point. Okay. What do I do to say 5.9? Oh, okay. So 5 feet 9 inches is different from 5.9. And the 5.10 is not 5 feet 10 inches, it's only 5.1. Okay. Whatever it means. Okay. And email. Okay. So you have all this, right? So you can do this. So, okay. This is all a little painful. So Haskell automatically allows you to do record syntax. Okay. This is just for records. So you can say data person equals person. When you define the data type itself, you say name, which is of type string, age, which is of type int, height, which is of type double, email, which is of type string, deriving show. You can do that. And when you declare, when you define values of type person, you can actually give name equal to Ashwini, height equals 5.9, types of things like this, or you can give it in order. Okay, here order of fields is not important. Because I deliberately gave name first, height next, email next, and then age, but I actually assigned it using this syntax. You can also do the usual syntax, but then the fields have to be in order. Okay, so this is just about records. Okay, so you can have a sum of products. You can have just products alone like this. Okay. So that is record syntax. Now, the field names are actually functions actually. So if you see, name is actually person or a string. So let me modify my thing. Rather than defining all this, I can define my person to be okay. So I have defined it to be a record of this, with this syntax. Now I can actually say things like okay, that's one. I can have another. This time I will maintain the order. Okay, this works. So now you can actually see that if I reload and if I ask what is the type of name, it will automatically be a function of type person or a string. Okay, age is automatically of type person or etc. etc. So now I can say name of okay. So this is just record syntax, very useful. And okay, this is one kind of data type that you can have. Okay, so now that I have told you all the basics, let us actually move on to some more fun data types. Okay, so stack is one of the most important data types that you will study. Okay, what is a stack? A stack is a data type. A stack is like a stack of plates, okay, or a stack of dosas, let us say. You don't want to pull the dosa from the bottommost, okay, or chapatis or whatever. So you want to take the things from the top, and as new dosas are being made, they'll be put on top, right? Your mother doesn't put the new dosa at the very bottom, okay? The hotter dosas go on top. Okay, so therefore, what are the two operations that you can do? You can put a dosa on top of the stack. You can take a dosa out of the stack from the top. Okay, so the putting a dosa on top of the stack is called push, and taking a dosa out of the stack is called pop. Okay, so in traditional computer science terminology. Okay, so let's say here we want a collection of ints stacked on top of another. Push will place an element on top of the stack. Pop will remove an element from the top of the stack. Yes, and now you will see that this is exactly the same as lists. Because to push something, if you imagine that the head of the list is the top of the stack, to push means to add something to the beginning of a list. To pop means to take out the top element, so you will be left with the tail. Okay, that is the rest of the stack. Okay, so this is almost isomorphic to stacks. So I can define my stack to be a type synonym. I will say that stack is a list of integers and nothing more. Okay, so I can do that. Sorry. Okay, so remember there is a difference between data and type. What is type? What is data? Data will define a new data type. Type is what? Type will define a new type synonym. Okay. Type synonym means that it is another name for an existing type. That's all. Okay. So the type keyword defines a type synonym. Which is another word, another name for the same type. And if you want to see what the distinction is, suppose I have type stack equals int and data stack 2 equals, I don't know. These are two options I have. I can either have a data stack 2 and then I have to give a value constructor and I have to give a argument. And the argument can be a list. Nobody says that the argument has to be just an int or whatever. Can be a list also. What is it? Okay. Okay. Deriving show, whatever we say. Okay. Now I'll show you the difference between these two things. Okay. Let me define, I want to define a stack 1 which is of type stack and a stack 2 whose type is stack 2. Yeah. Okay. So stack 1 is, it is just a list, right? I'll just say it's a list 1 dot dot 10. Stack 2, for stack 2 I cannot just say list 1 dot dot 10. What should I do? How do I build a stack 2? How did I build a circle? Circle 3.0 I said. So how will I build an object of type stack 2?
Stack and then the list. Stack 2 and then
but the constructor name is stack 2. So stack 2 and then the list. Yeah. Okay, great. This is all fine. Now let me ask if stack 1 equals, I'll get a value false. Okay. What if I ask if stack 2 equals 1 dot dot dot? What will I get?
False.
True or false or type error? Which of the three?
Okay, these types are not same. That is
Exactly. The type is completely different. Okay. This precisely illustrates the difference between the type keyword and the data keyword. Okay. The data keyword creates a new type. The type keyword creates only a type synonym. Okay. So it is just a new name for your own purposes, for your own understanding. As far as Haskell is concerned, stack 1 and listInt are the same types. Okay. But as far as Haskell is concerned, stack 2 and listInt are not the same types. Okay. And by the way, while we are here, we might as well clarify one thing that it says. So Bijayan, a while ago you asked a question on chat and I asked you what you meant. I think you didn't hear me or whatever. You asked me whether it will be more efficient or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, this deriving class does this deriving class increases size like of the program while execution?
No, it won't. Why do you think it should increase the size of the program?
Like it's essentially including that equation.
Yeah, it will include, but that it will include, but that won't be too huge a penalty to pay. Okay, fine. But there's one thing there is one source of inefficiency though. Look at this. So having stack 1 and listInt to be a type synonym, it will have its own problems, but it has one advantage over defining it to be a new stack. Like there is one advantage of using stack 1 over stack 2. What is the advantage? Can you think of it? The advantage is that you're just using lists of ints directly. You don't have to add this tag every time. Okay. So adding the tag will increase space when you run the program. Okay. So in some sense, the stack 2, the value constructor is like putting a box on top of a list of integers, on top of the argument. The value constructors are like putting a box around its arguments. In case there is a single argument, in case there is a single constructor which has a single argument. Here there is only one argument, right? The argument is a list. The list contains many elements, but there is only one list. So technically speaking, there is a single argument. Okay, a list. Okay. In case there is a single constructor with a single argument, which has a single argument, then there is no need to put this box. Right? Because the box will always contain. So why do you need to put a box? If you have multiple constructors, then imagine it as, so each constructor has a different color box. So think of each constructor as a differently colored box. Right? So any value will be this bunch of objects put inside a box of this color or that color or that color. Okay, that is what defines your whole data type. Okay, but in case there is a single constructor, there is only a box of a single color, and in case that has a single argument, then it will only have one object inside it. That object might itself be a box. List is a box. Okay, so list is a box that contains many elements. So you're putting the box which is a list inside another larger box. So the second box can be eliminated, really. Okay. Then there is no need for this box at all. meaning you need the box when you try to compile the program and type the program, because the types are different. Even though the types are different, even though the type of the even though the types okay, so you want to maintain a distinction as a type, but as the value, as far as the values are concerned, you don't want to put a box. Okay, to achieve that, you do something called new type. Instead of using data, you use new type. Remember that you use new type exactly in one circumstance, when there is only one constructor and when there is only one argument for that constructor. Okay, and this new type is an optimization you are telling Haskell to perform at runtime. When Haskell runs the program, you do not want it to keep boxing and unboxing the data values. Okay, so you're saying no need to box them, because there is only a box of one color associated with this data type, and that box will also contain only one object. So therefore, there is no need for that box. Okay, so that's a purely runtime efficiency thing. But when you're using VS Code or whatever, it will automatically suggest if there is only one data value constructor with only one argument in it, it will ask you, do you want to use new type? New type? You can say yes. Okay. So even when you use new type, the type distinction is maintained, even though the boxing is not done for the values. Okay. So that is the difference. Okay. So now you can do this thing. You can again ask whether stack2 equals 1 dot, it will again give a type error, because the type stack2 is distinct from the type list of integers, but the objects are not boxed, so you get better performance at runtime. Okay, so this is all this is some abstract thing, but since it's a useful thing and it's a thing that gains efficiency for you, I'm just telling you right. Okay, let's get back to stack then. Okay, so without doing all this, we can so let's move on to now proper stack. Instead of calling stack1 or stack2, I'll get back to whatever I started with, namely stack is a list of integers. That's a type synonym. I want the push pop functionality. Push is a thing that it's a int arrow stack. Pop is a thing that stack arrow maybe int. You can ask for the top value. And what else? That's all. Yes. So sorry about going to the other program. So now how do you implement push? Push is nothing but saying push of some x, and the stack is some list x's equals x colon x's. Or you can even make it more pithy and say that push is nothing but this pop. Okay, pop, I'm just making it a little more complicated. Pop of a list of x's is if null x's, if x's is a null list, then nothing empty list, else head x's, tail x's, just head x's. Okay, top is the same. If null x's, then nothing, else that's basically it. So you have your functionality. So you can say, for instance, you can say, I don't know. It prints out this list, push 0 onto the stack, give this pop stack, will give you just 1 followed by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Top of stack will give you just 1, etc., etc. Okay, you can do all this, but there is a flaw in this kind of design. It is not a flaw in your program. It is a flaw in the program design. It is that if you're thinking of a stack, okay, your mother is piling dosas onto a stack. She won't suddenly, oh, maybe she will. She won't suddenly take out 50 at a time, right? Or she won't, no, maybe dosas you can, but suppose she enlists you for help. Okay, so you're doing one pile, she's doing another pile, you can put the 2 piles together. But now you are breaking the metaphor of a stack. A stack is something where you want to allow only 3 things, either push or pop or find the value at the top. Nothing else should be done. Okay. So there are cases when you don't want any other thing to be done on the stack. Okay. But if you're taking stack to be just a type synonym, then you can do all other kinds of nonsense stuff, right? For instance, you can take n of stack. Okay. Your brother arrives, suddenly you have to take 10 dosas at a stretch and give it to him. Okay. And you can add one stack to another, like you can concatenate one stack with another. You can go and modify one element of a stack. Okay. So you want to just go and just as a surprise for you, the 10th thing from the top is not a dosa, but let us say poli. Okay. So you take off 9 elements, put a poli, and then put the 9 elements back. So you don't want to allow such things. Okay, you only want access of a very limited kind. Okay, when you want that, you have to use actually the new data type. Okay, and I think it is now 3:20. Let me just show you how you do it with the new data type, and then I'll stop, and then we'll talk about further details later. Okay, in the next class. Yes.
To apply pop many a time, then we can use the SND, right? Like pop once and then use the SND apply. What was that syntax? C or
yeah, SND. That's right. You can do that. No, I'm not saying you cannot do that, but I'm saying you should only do it that way. You can only. I'm not saying that you cannot take out 10 elements, but I'm saying you can take out 10 elements only one by one.
Okay.
If you keep it like a list, you can immediately do drop 5, etc. No, you shouldn't be allowed to do drop, take, etc., which are really list functions and not stack functions. Okay. For stack, you want to allow limited functionality. Okay. And this will tie in with what I'll teach tomorrow, which are called modules. Okay. How do you restrict your access to data types, which we'll talk in the next class. But I'll first just do this and then we'll. So one way to do it would be you can take anything to be your type constructor, the value constructor. It is not necessary that it should be the same as the name of the type. So I could just call it ST, for instance. Yeah, and then the program is just the same. Push is nothing but, oh, it's asking you to do new type. New type. So new type. I could do whatever I want. So push is of type. Okay, what is the code? Push is nothing but, yeah. So now you have to say push of X and you can't just say access, you have to say stack access. Okay, the pattern will always have a stack tag attached to the list. What will be the result? It won't be xcolon access, instead it will be the stack constructor applied on xcolon. Remember, you should always, to produce a stack value, you have to use the STK constructor. That is the one that produces stack values. Its inputs are list of integers, its output is a value of type stack. Okay, so you should apply the constructor. Okay, pop of stack access is the same as earlier. If null access, then just so then nothing comma stack stk empty list, else just head access comma stk of tail access, and top is also similar. Okay, great. That's it. The code doesn't differ much at all, except that wherever you need to produce a value of type stack, you have to add the stk value constructor. Okay, this value constructor. Okay, so that is all there is to it. Now I'll ask you one question. Did we use anywhere the fact that it is a stack of integers? The code is anywhere, is there a dependency on the fact that the integers are integers? No, there isn't, right? So therefore you can make the stack, instead of stack of list of integers, you can call it stack of list of type A. But then you cannot call it a stack, you have to call it stack of type A. Yes, and everywhere instead of just using stack, you should say stack of type A. And instead of maybe int, it's maybe A. That's it. Okay. So when you do this, stack is not called a type anymore. It's called a type constructor. Type constructor takes a type and produces a new type. Okay, takes any type A and produces a new type, which is stack of A. Value constructor, now the STK is a value constructor of type A arrow stack A. Somebody asked a question, right? So can we have circle of arrow, shape of A, circle of A, etc., etc. With circle, shape, etc., it doesn't make sense, but with stack, it makes eminent sense. Okay, so right, so that's basically it. So you can have stack of or you can have stack of STK of A to Z. This is a stack of characters and so on. Okay, great. So that's basically it. We'll do more stuff later. I mean, even with all this, you can still no, what is the problem? Yeah, you can still do certain things that violate the abstraction that you want to maintain. You want to maintain the abstraction that in your data type, you can only access the top and nothing else. You can either put something on top, you can take off the top element, or you can determine what the top element is. Okay, so these are the three things. These are the only three things you want to assume. We have not yet reached there. Okay, we can still do some certain things that will circumvent this abstraction. In the next class, we'll figure out exactly how to do that. Okay, by using what are called modules. We'll come to that in the next class. But I hope I have given you a reasonable introduction to types. We'll do more. We'll spend 2-3. I mean, the whole of the rest of the course will only be about user-defined types. Okay. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you some better examples, that's more interesting examples involving stacks, queues, and whatnot. Okay. So we'll meet on Thursday then. Any questions? I shall by evening. I'll have to go out somewhere now, but before evening I'll clean up these slides and put them up on the Moodle page. Okay, and I'll right now upload this program on the Moodle page, but by night I'll put up the slides also. Okay, so if there are no more questions, then have a nice evening. So hopefully there are some dosas involved. See you then. Yeah. So see you. Okay. So,
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Final
Thank you, sir.
questions. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank
Sure.
you, sir.
So if there are no questions, then Milal, did you have a question?
No, sir.
Okay. Good. Good then. Yeah. See you then. Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely have those as well. I heard almost every day.